All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kimberly T Inspires TV show. My name is Kim. I'm your host, but today we have a special co-host named Heather Jamison. Am I saying your name right? I hope Jamison.
Yes.
She is an amazing author, coach, health coach, and today we're going to talk to her about her book. And her book is titled, if you don't mind me having to look that up quickly, just tell me about yourself and about Penelope, the young lady in your story.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on, Kimberly. Penelope is the main character in my story, and she is a young girl who really is looking for her purpose in life. She doesn't really know who she is, and she lives in a made-up world. It takes place in more of a fantasy setting, and where each child is given a seed, and on their 13th birthday their seed is supposed to sprout with their identity kind of who they are. Well, when Penelope turns 13, her seed doesn't sprout, so she goes on a quest to find out, why isn't my seed sprouting? Who am I? I'm waiting for this moment to find out who I'm supposed to be, and it's not happening. So what do I do? So she goes on a journey, and along the way, she meets different characters and she takes their advice. And she really is looking in all sorts of places to find out who she is. And the reader gets to follow along with Penelope on the way to find out, the different strategies and the different tactics she's going to take. And they all involve changing herself in some way, thinking that she's not good enough, that if she would change certain things about herself, she would finally be who she's meant to be. And of course, all of these things leave her unfulfilled. And that part of Penelope's journey really reminded me of my own life, and so many of us as women maybe trying to strive to be who we think we're supposed to be, or who other people say we should be, but not really knowing in ourselves, who am I? What did God put inside of me? And really kind of trusting our intuition and trusting our gifts and our talents that He put in us, instead looking to the outside world to tell us what we should be or what we should do. And Penelope does have a life-altering moment near the end of the book, where she does discover kind of that deep place inside of her, that reveals, or she discovers through that process of who she is and who God designed her to be.
That's beautiful. I love it. So we do struggle a lot with trying to find our purpose, even as adults. But tell us about who Heather is. What brought you into telling us or giving us Penelope? Did she have something to do? Was she a part of your life with growing up? Do you relate to some of the things with Penelope went through? Just give us a little bit about that, and introduce us to who Heather is.
Sure. First, I will tell you the book is called Penelope and the Seed. I forgot to mention that. And who Heather is, who I am today, is not who I was years ago, thankfully. I don't think any of us are, which is wonderful. We get to grow and do this journey of life. And I think it was my old self, obviously, that inspired Penelope's story. I was a girl which, by the way, I wrote primarily to second, third, fourth graders, because I found in my own life that's when a lot of my struggles with self-hatred, self-doubt, low self-esteem, a lot of that started around that age for me, especially probably third grade. And then it just continued because I didn't know how to turn those thoughts off. I just kept listening to them. And so for me, a lot of it was thinking I needed to be perfect in order to be loved. And so there is a season in Penelope's life where she decides she's told actually by an owl that if she would be more perfect and follow the rules of conduct in Eudora, which is where they live, that, then her seed would sprout. She just hasn't been perfect enough. And I definitely went down that route. To me, perfection meant, not messing up on my grades. It meant getting all A's. It meant being thin. It meant always obeying in every way, just perfect compliance all the time, to the point where I didn't know really what Heather wanted anymore. Didn't know what was important to me, what things I liked, what things I didn't like, because I just always wanted to agree and always be compliant with everyone. And then I became an adult and realized over a period of time, after feeling like my life was stuck and like I wasn't, I ended up actually in my quest to be perfect throughout college, I ended up with an eating disorder and really struggled for a number of years in that area. And eventually I had a wake up call where I knew if I continued down that path, I would end up in the hospital. And that kind of freaked me out because I don't like hospitals. I really didn't want that to happen, but I knew my health was getting so bad because of the harm I was doing to my body, that's what was going to happen. And maybe that was the Lord telling me, maybe that was intuition or both, but it was kind of the wake up call I needed. And at that point, I realized, I really am miserable and I don't know who I am. And I don't want to keep living this way, because I was very anxious. I think when you're trying to be perfect and you feel like if you're not perfect, you're not going to be loved, it's very easy to live in a state of anxiety and fear, because you're constantly trying to be something that you never can be. We never can be perfect.
Right. That's deep. That's really good, because I know in the world now where we moved from, at a time that you probably was going through this, social media wasn't as big as it is now. So now you're seeing all these so-called skinny women or these perfect women. I know you got your work cut out for you, because there's so many young girls looking at all these reels, these videos, and things of that nature. But what would you, Heather, now would tell that Heather at 13 about who she was, about self-love, about self-care? Like, how would you, what would be the advice that you would tell other young women, young girls, I should say, young teenagers, about self-awareness of who they are?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think there's definitely a piece where we have to get to know ourselves. And if we're always looking to social media or the outside to kind of tell us who we are, we won't ever discover it. The only way that we really discover who we are is by spending time with ourselves.
Yes.
And being okay with that, being okay with ourselves. And that means accepting even the bad things. It means accepting the things that we don't like about ourselves. And loving her anyways. I think no matter what age we are, whether we're 13, whether we're 40, somewhere in the middle, we can look at ourselves as that little girl. Like, we always will have a little girl inside of us.
Absolutely.
And so to that 13-year-old girl, how are you talking to yourself? Are you going to talk to yourself like you would talk to your best friend? Right. Because oftentimes, or like you would to your 5-year-old self or to your 2-year-old self, most of the time we're our own worst critic and we talk the worst about ourselves, way worse, or we think way worse about ourselves than we would to our best friend or to anyone else. So if you
Absolutely.
can start talking to yourself like you would your best friend, then you can start to shift, because that does take time and that takes practice. But it's first taking that step and wanting to realize, oh, I am really mean to myself. If my best friend
Absolutely.
knew what I was thinking or saying, she would be crushed. She would
Right.
never speak to me again. And
Absolutely.
so if we can all treat ourselves like that 2-year-old self, 5-year-old self, or the best friend, then I think that's a good starting point. And I wish I had known that when I was 13, because I was really mean to myself. And I never would have been mean to anyone else like that. People always told me, "Oh, you're so sweet. You're so nice. You're so kind." I was to everyone else, but not to
That's
myself.
the
I
way
was
it is.
terrible to myself.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't show ourselves grace, but we will give it out to everybody else. We will show everybody else unconditional love. Um, Let me ask you something. Do you have a routine for Heather self-care? Like what do Heather do to unwind or to just to be self-aware of your emotions or what you're going through? Like, do you constantly keep going? Have you basically healed that part um, of
Yeah.
yourself? Do you feel like, of course you are my stronger because I see it here with all these topics because I want to ask you, it says, encountering God's heart, your signature topics. Um, Did you encounter God? How did you encounter God? Who helped you to see Heather the way that everybody else was here? You know.
Yeah. I had a friend. Well, she wasn't necessarily a friend at the time, but I got invited to go hear her speak. And I ultimately went to her school called Ancient Paths in the end. And when I first met her, though, her name is Michelle Seidler, and she was a speaker. She's written a book as well, but at the time she was a speaker, and I got invited to go hear her. And she's the one who taught me the character and nature of Jesus. I grew up knowing about Jesus and knowing about God and knowing, oh, he's all loving and he loves me, and I knew all the right things, but it never translated from my head to my heart.
Right.
And Jesus came to make the Father known. That's what he did. And so when we look at the character and nature of Jesus, we can see what God is like, because everything Jesus did was to reveal the Father. And so when we look at Jesus and the woman at the well, for instance, what does that I guess I just started praying and asking the question. First, I would go into prayer and this is something I'll do with my clients, or we'll do journal activities or something. But we'll ask, first of all, what do you want to show me, Lord? What do you want to show me about yourself? Because he knows us better than we do,
Absolutely.
right? And there's a part in my book, Penelope and the Seed, where at the end of it, she's eating at the king's table and he's feeding her. And
Mm-hmm.
he knows it. And that's just an allegory of our relationship with the Lord and how he feeds us from his table. He feeds
Mm-hmm.
us what we need. He knows exactly what we need in each day, each circumstance. And if we allow him, like, we have to kind of lay down our own ego and say, okay, I don't know what I need, but he does. So we can go and ask him that. What do you want to show me about yourself? Because when we discover him and his heart, it's transformative. It will change our heart. There's nothing more transformative than the heart of a father, than the heart of Father God, because he is love. And in that love is freedom. In that love is healing. And that love is transformation. And it's just pure unconditional love. And so I started asking him, I would read a passage. So back to that woman at the well, if I was going to read that, I would
Yes.
ask him ahead of time, Lord, what do you want to show me? And then I would just read the story. And maybe I'd have to read it a couple times. And whatever would stand out to me is kind of the part I would latch onto. And then it would be like, okay, what does this show me about your nature? Not the actions of Jesus. You're not looking at what took place or what transpired in the story, but you're looking at his character and nature, which are two different things. So if I'm reading that story and all of a sudden he's showing me his, he doesn't care what the crowd thinks. Like,
No.
he doesn't care that he's in the wrong place. He's not supposed to be there. If she was the woman at the well was from Samaria, he wasn't supposed to be associating with Samaritans. So he didn't care what the disciples would think. So that shows me that he doesn't care what other people think. He only saw her in that moment.
Yep.
And it's the same way with me. If his eyes are only on her and her need, it's the same with me. He doesn't change. He was the same then with that Samaritan woman as he is with us today. So I can look at that and say, wow, he sees me. His eyes are only on me. And then you start to feel that love and you start to take that in. And you can do that with any scripture, any passage, Old Testament too. But I love to do it in the New Testament with Jesus because you can see so actively how he walked with people.
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely. The woman at the well, he sat right down there and talked to her, had a whole conversation with her, a whole conversation. And the woman who was bleeding for 12 years, he knew who touched her heart was so not like the crowd. He actually turned wondered who touched me. Somebody touched the hem of my robe, just a small touch. She wanted to get to him so bad, and when she touched him, all the people that was around him, he didn't feel no one else but her. He felt for her, and you're
Yeah.
right. He does see you. He does see you. And I love the scripture to Psalm 139:14. I praise you because of the wonderful way you created me. Everything you do is marvelous. So I love that. I put that actually, I love that scripture.
Yeah.
He made you, just that alone. He made you. He made you wonderful, marvelous, everything about you. And I know it's kind of hard for some people to see that about themselves, especially young girls, you know? So I wanted to ask you, and I love that what you just said. I wanted to ask you, you said that trusting your intuition and encountering God's heart. How do we do that? How do
Yeah.
we trust? Yeah.
The encountering God's heart is the exercise I just shared is an excellent way to do that. And then how we learn to trust our intuition is it takes practice. I think for some people it comes easier than others, but it does also come back to this place of loving ourselves and
Mm,
seeing ourselves how God sees us. Because if we don't love ourselves, we won't believe that our thoughts matter.
right.
We won't believe that our feeling, like our gut feeling, that we as women sometimes have. We won't believe that we can trust that if we don't love ourselves. And I noticed in my own life, there was a lot of times where after the fact, it was like, dang it, if I would have just trust my gut instinct, I would have been right. And it could have been such small things. Sometimes it's even like, where did I park the car? And it's like, I know it's right over there, but the person I'm with says, no, it's over
It's
here.
over there.
It's over here. And I'm like, but intuition, my gut, no, I know it's right here, but I wouldn't listen to them. I always was listening to everyone else because I didn't think I mattered.
Mm.
I didn't think my opinions mattered. I didn't think my voice mattered. I didn't think I had anything valuable. Sorry, I turn that off. I didn't think I had anything valuable to give. And that comes back to that place of love. And I think if we're walking in a humble and we're walking in, pure love that is not self-seeking and stuff like that, then we can trust our intuition, because that is how a lot of times how God speaks to us. He gave us a spirit, and he gave us his Holy Spirit when we accept him and when we're born again. Well, that comes largely through our spirit. And for those of us that are not born again, we have our conscience. And God gave us a conscience to help keep us safe, to help steer us in the right direction, And then when we're born again and we have Holy Spirit, how much more can we be led by him? But it also comes back to trusting that he is in us. So the Bible says, Christ in us is the hope of glory. Or you read Romans 8 and it's all, the Jesus in us and how he's died and what he's done for us so that we can live in him. And if we don't believe that, we also won't trust ourselves. Because again, like, we have to trust, okay, God is a better leader than I am a follower. We think of Jesus and he's the shepherd and we're the sheep. He's a better leader than I am a follower. And he lives in me. And so I can trust him. I can trust him. And then when we start to make that shift, then we can trust our intuition and we can trust the still small voice inside of us, because we're coming from a humble place and we're coming from a place of, okay, he's leading me and I'm going to trust him. Now, will we always do it right? Will sometimes our intuition be wrong? Yes, we're human. But I think it's also kind of a muscle too, and you have to learn to listen to it. You have to learn to tune in. And if we're always listening to everyone else's opinions, or we're always listening to the news or social media or all these other voices, it's just noise. It's just chatter. And if we're listening to all of that, we can't be aligned. We can't be centered with.
Right. I agree. So with all the things that goes inside of us in our temple, we got to take care of our temple. That's very important. Especially when he gave it to us. He lives in us. You also talked about your relationship, having a healthy relationship with food, feeding your temple. I believe just more than just spiritual, but we also must have to have a healthy relationship with food. People will go on these exuberant, like these diets that will just basically bring you to near death sometimes. But how is it that we can have a healthy relationship with God and with food?
Yeah. It all is so intertwined. We are body, soul, and spirit. And I don't think you can be just one and be healthy in the others. You can't. It's like a tripod. If you have a stool that has the 3 legs, and only one of them
is missing, right?
Yeah.
2 of them is missing.
So you have to have all 3. My background was very messed up relationship with food. I feared almost all food because I thought it would make me fat. But then once I started to get better from, like, I had that problem, but I was also would binge too. So I kind of had 2 sides to the same coin. And as I started to walk out of that, so much of it was related to my unhappiness with myself. and eating my emotions
Mm.
or needing to control. It was a big control thing. Food became something
Yep.
I could control when a lot of life felt chaotic or out of my
Mhm.
control.
That's right.
So if you can kind of uncover the beliefs or mindsets, then this is where sometimes working with a coach or a therapist can be helpful if you're struggling yourself, or there's so many books and resources, that are wonderful. But if you can start to uncover some of the thoughts that might be leading you to either not eat or to eat too much, or, again, most of the time it has to do with an unhappiness of some sort. You're unhappy with yourself, you're unhappy with your job, you're unhappy with your relationships, with your spiritual life, you're feeling unloved, unworthy, all of these in health coaching school we call all of those things primary food. Like all those aspects of our life that are not food are primary food because they actually matter the most. And food and what we eat and how we treat food is usually the byproduct. So it's
Mm.
secondary food. So we think of, food is one of the most important things. We can't live without it. And that's true. We can't live without it. But usually our patterns with food are there because of an emotional root, an emotional cause or
Mhm.
belief system, or, those types of things. So when all of that starts to kind of get unpacked, you really can start getting a healthier relationship with food um, pretty quickly. And it's not something that happens overnight, but it's just that the incremental, day by day, little steps. We're all on a journey, and little steps add up to really big change. And you just take one day at a time.
Well, that's good. Thank you for that. So, we're about to, 'cause, I know you have a lot to do. You're a very busy woman, so I want to honor that. Tell us about Heather, the health coach. Tell us how we can find you and how we can work with you, all the things so that and also your book as well.
Okay. Thank you, Kimberly. So I'll start with my book. You can find that on Amazon. I'm sure it will be in the show notes, but
Yes, you
it's
will. Mhm.
Penelope and the Seed. And again, it's primarily for the young readers, but I love it because Penelope's story is true of all of
Resonates.
us, all
Mhm.
women. It speaks to my heart, even though it's written for younger girls.
Oh, I'm going to get the book for myself.
Thank you. And then yeah, as a health coach, I primarily am helping Christian women have a healthier relationship with themselves, with food, and with God, because that is, the where my heart is. That is the main thing. Usually within that, we focus on everyone usually has weight loss goals or sustainability goals. And so we're usually working on that as well. And within that, generally we're working on three main areas, those being cellular health, because that's foundational. If you don't have healthy cells, that's like the building block. We're made up of cells more than
Mhm.
anything. Trillions and trillions of cells. So if our cells aren't healthy, then we can't continue building a strong building. We want our temple to be strong and healthy. So the foundation of our health, anyways, of our physical body is going to be cellular health. So we usually work on that, and that usually is inflammation usually comes into play with that. Gut health is always comes into play with that too, as well as just whole body health. So usually those are kind of three other pillars that we tie into the body, soul, and spirit aspect. So very holistic,
Mhm.
um, I have group coaching programs, but I also have one-on-one coaching. So different, and also for anyone that is not, wanting to do coaching necessarily, I have a private Facebook group, Facebook community where I'm kind of new at that, so bear with me. I'm learning how to do that, and I have plans.
We all trying to get it with this technology.
Yeah, I'm not the greatest, but it is a great place where you can come on and meet other women that are also there as
Awesome.
well,
Awesome. Yes,
learning the same
community is
thing.
very important. We'll
Yeah.
find you. Community is very important. Um, yeah, so Heather the coach, Heather the author, is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
Um,
What do you do? What do you like to do in your free time? What is your Do you have like a special? Do you have a diet plan, or is there no diet with you teaching us, or is it just how to eat more healthier or eat smarter? Is there a diet? I mean, I know of course you want to cut out the fatty oils, and are you?
mhm.
Do you love carbohydrates like I do? Because I was told I need to cut it out. I was told that I need to have what's this Mediterranean
Oh,
diet,
the
I guess.
Mediterranean.
Yes. Oh, you heard about that?
Yeah.
So tell me more about that, because this is what I'm supposed to be going into. I know I probably need to do a one-on-one coaching with you. I may need to sign up. Okay.
And I do have free consultations too.
Oh,
So,
good.
and that's always a fun call to find out what a person's goals are, if we would be a good fit, um, and talk about questions you have and stuff like that too. But to answer your question, I don't I don't think there's just one diet for everyone. There is no
Okay.
one diet fits all because everyone has different genetics, everyone has a different background. We all have different, we've got different blood types, different issues, different things. Within that, I do believe there are good, healthy principles
Mhm.
that benefit everyone. But I am not going to tout just one diet probably over another. I've did so many diets in the past and my goal is to help people get off the diet cycle and
Well,
just help
yeah,
people live a healthy
that makes
lifestyle that they
sense.
can attain. They feel like it's attainable, they feel like it's fun, they feel like it fits into their schedule and they feel good in their bodies. I want people to have more energy. I want them to feel stronger. I want them to be sleeping better. Now, there's certain foods that will make them sleep worse, give them less energy, so it's eliminating those things. So there is an element of elimination, and then you're adding in the good things. And I want people to get to that point where it becomes fun now because they feel so much better that they don't even want to have their old lifestyle back because they feel so much better. Now, Mediterranean diet is wonderful. It's really based on fresh fruits and vegetables, really healthy fats for you like avocados and nuts and olive oil. And those things are excellent for you, for your whole body, brain, heart, your cellular health, like we talked about, getting rid of inflammation. If you look at that came really popular because they were looking at blue zones, and those are areas in the world where people were living to 100 or more. And they were finding that one of those areas was the people who were in the Mediterranean climate.
Mhm.
They were eating a lot of those foods and they were living long, healthy lives without a lot of disease. And so when they look at, well, what were they eating? What was in their diet? It is a lot of those things. All that
So
to say,
what
that
kind
doesn't
of
mean you can't
pizza?
enjoy a piece of pizza sometimes.
That's what I did.
Just not all the time.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I know we probably shouldn't be calling out names. I love the Jono pizzas, the little personal ones. They are so good. And I think I probably ate one too many right before I went to the doctor. I always blame that. Now she wants to see me back again. This was probably telling you a lot of stuff, but I don't care. I'm going to share with my friends. Okay, I could do the fruits and vegetables. You said avocado, and I'm like, I tasted it. It don't have no taste to it.
Well,
Should
you
I?
can one really easy way to get in avocados, because sometimes people don't even like the taste of it. It's excellent in smoothies.
Okay.
And you can't really taste it anyways in a smoothie because you've got lots of other things in there too. You can throw in some spinach and blueberries and strawberries, little
Those are my favorites.
ginger,
Yes.
and even and you can use, unsweetened almond milk for it. And or if you don't want to use the almond milk, use green tea, which helps boost your metabolism. And you get that in there and you won't even taste the avocado, but then you'll get all the nutrient benefits of it.
I am already said that you're gonna be my health coach now, okay? Because you're gonna have to help me along this Mediterranean path because I just don't. And well, you don't have to cook. Don't it just seems like all the food is not cooking like prepared. It sounds like it's all fruits and vegetables and nuts. But you got to cut out white pasta. You got to cut out regular pasta. You got to eat green or whole grain pasta and brown rice.
Well, and don't do it all at once either,
Okay.
because that's really tough. Do
Okay.
little by little.
Okay. All right. I'll be calling you, Miss Heather. I know we're on a different time zone, but I'm gonna have to call you and be like, okay, what am I supposed to eat today?
All right.
I don't know what I'm supposed to eat. Okay, so yes, you and I are gonna connect definitely. I need you in my life, okay?
Okay.
I need you in my life. But with Mediterranean foods, I guess I'm a foodie too, because I'm like, all foods just sound delicious to me.
Oh, I love food. Yeah.
All food just sound delicious. So when my doctor said Mediterranean, I was like, ooh, what restaurant can I go to get some Mediterranean food? It's a healthy to eat. But I don't think that's what she was thinking about that. I think she was thinking more me eating more fruits, vegetables, nuts, like you said, berries, and things of that nature. So I'm gonna get some more of those.
Yeah. Well, and their diet is so high in omega-3 and polyphenols, which is, I could talk for a whole hour on omega-3 and polyphenols, and that would bore you. But if anyone wants to Google it and look it up, tons and tons of health benefits. And unfortunately, our standard American diet has really created a harmful system of inflammation in our bodies because we don't have enough of the omega-3 and polyphenols to get rid of inflammation. That's one reason Mediterranean diet is so good for you, is because it actually works to combat inflammation. Whereas a lot of foods we eat that are fried, or even canola oil, different oils like that and stuff, they create inflammation in our bodies. We want to have a little bit. We're designed to have just a little. But now what we're seeing in this pandemic of obesity and poor health, and even weakened immune systems and things like that, is because we don't have enough omega-3 and enough polyphenols to get rid of the inflammation. So then it gets chronic, turns chronic. And that's why we're seeing so many autoimmune conditions, Alzheimer's, dementia, MS, like so many different diseases are because there's too much inflammation. So that's a big part of what I do as well.
What about things like alopecia? Because I have alopecia. Or alopecia is an autoimmune disease, and
is it autoimmune?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So we have, I don't know anyone personally with alopecia to know what their testimony is. I have worked with people with autoimmune, and what we try to do is we can measure how much inflammation they have in their body with just a simple at-home blood test. You can, there might be a link down below in the show notes that has some of this with the blood test. And of course, call me with the consultation and we can talk about it.
Yes, I definitely am.
But it helps.
I don't know if you're talking about me or them, but I'm definitely going to call you.
Or anyone. But so what we would start with is measuring how much inflammation you have. And that would kind of give us a baseline. Most people with autoimmune, or just actually most people in America, so you want to have basically like a ratio of 1-to-1. So 1 anti-inflammatory to 1 pro-inflammatory marker. Ratio is equal. Most Americans on the standard American diet are 25 or higher to 1.
Mm,
Many of them are 50 or more. So that's like
wow.
50 inflammatory. Okay. Are we back?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Bad
I missed
connection.
the part. I missed the part where you said the 1-to-1 and the 50 inflammatory. So it froze on that part. I don't know whether you could repeat that for us. There are 50.
Okay. What part did you miss?
It froze when you was about to mention the 50% or the 50 inflammatories.
Yeah. So someone who has 50 pro-inflammatory markers, 1 anti-inflammatory. So
Mm-hmm.
anti-inflammatory is omega-3. Pro-inflammatory
Right.
is, I think I have bad internet.
It's okay. I think it's
Okay.
just getting tired of us right now.
Yeah, I'm almost done.
Maybe you sharing too much of your good stuff. That's why it's just like, no, don't talk.
um, so yeah, if you're out of balance, like say if you were out of balance and you had 50-to-1 ratio, that would be like
Mhm.
having 50 fires and 1 fireman. One
Mhm.
fireman can't put out 50 fires.
Right.
And this is what we're seeing is a lot of people are having 20, 25, all the way up to 50, sometimes even higher of inflammatory markers in their body, which are omega-6s and sometimes omega-9, mainly omega-6s. Just because of our diets today, we have way too much of that in our food. And it's making us really sick,
Wow.
unfortunately. So one thing I like to do if clients want to is we measure that and then we put a protocol into place so that they can get their levels back down to a healthy range.
Right. Right.
And the way that a person reacts to that protocol is going to be different. It will help everyone, but for some people, they're going to notice it more in their skin. Other people might notice it more. Most people notice that their pain has gone away. Everyone notices that. But I guess the point I'm making is everyone's. So if the omega 6s turn on disease, let's say that the inflammation turns on disease, the disease that we're prone to or we're predisposed to based on our genetics. Some
Mm-hmm.
people might be predisposed to autoimmune. Some people might be predisposed to Alzheimer's. Some people might be predisposed to Graves' disease or, whatever it is. So that's what I mean by it affects everyone a little bit differently. Some people might, but that doesn't mean it's not good for you. Our cells have to have it to function. If we don't have the right things, our cells are too hard and rigid, and then we can't get nutrients in and waste out. It's just hard like a raisin, and we want them to be soft like grapes. And I don't want to keep talking,
Yeah.
but that way we can get all the good
No,
stuff
you're fine.
in
You're fine.
and we feel
Mm-hmm.
better. If think about it, if your cells are so hard and tight,
Mm-hmm.
um, you're going to feel stiff and you're not going to feel good. But
Right.
you're not going to sleep as good and your thinking is going to be more foggy. But if our cells actually are like grapes, like we want them to be soft and pliable and spongy, then they get everything in there that they need and they get all the nutrients they need. So you're sleeping better, you're feeling better, you're moving better, all those things. So I
Awesome.
get very passionate about that. Sorry.
No, don't apologize because we need this. I need this in my life. Okay, so don't apologize at all. I just want you to be comfortable. This is the place that we want to share, and I want to get people over there, get people healthier, get people closer to God. Let God know how much He loves them. We want to be healthier so we could do what God has called us to do. because it's no joke doing ministry. What you're doing is ministry, and it's helping others heal in a big way. And I do appreciate you. I commend you for it. And I'm definitely going to get the book and anything else that I'm going to also put down your Instagram handle and everything so that we could follow you and join your community on Facebook as well. But is there anything last thing that you might want to share with us? What's coming up for you?
I'm gonna be promoting my book some more, and I do have 3
Oh,
other children's books that
nice.
are going to come out. I don't have a date in mind
Okay.
for them, but they will be a series, and they're actually for a little bit younger kids, but they're on the character and nature of Jesus. So to
Oh,
show
wow.
display that for preschoolers. So I'm really looking forward to that because that's been near and dear to my heart and in the works for a long time, and I'm finally going to do it.
Yay! Is that going to be on your website? Like, there's going to be like a link that say coming soon or something like that? We could sign up for
Yes,
the
not probably not for a little while yet, just because I'm still promoting my Penelope, but yes, that will come
That's
out. It'll be
fine
on my
too.
website.
As long
You
as
can
we
also
following you. Mm-hmm.
you can also get the Penelope book on my website as well, Heather
Oh,
Jamison.
nice. Well, I always love to promote the author on their website only because I feel like the author, there's nothing wrong with Amazon, I'm always on Amazon, but I feel that Amazon takes its cut. I'm an author too, so I promote authors on their website. So I will be purchasing my book on your website because I want all the proceeds to go to you. Okay.
Okay.
I do love Amazon. Amazon is great. However, that's my take on it as far as
Yeah. Well, right now, full transparency, I just have it linked to Amazon. So it won't
okay.
matter. I do need to
Okay.
get it changed. But I'm still waiting on my shipment of books to come in. So
Oh,
as of
okay.
right now, it's my website is just linked to Amazon
To
because that's
Amazon.
what was
Okay,
quickest for
okay.
me at the time.
Oh, okay. I thought you were shipping them out from your home too. Like, when you have to go mail them out and things like that. I
Yeah.
don't
No, a
mind.
lot of authors do that though. So that's, yeah,
Okay,
really
it's
nice of
fine.
you to
Either
say.
way. Either way. I just love to promote the author, hurt the person not on Amazon. I mean, I promote on Amazon too, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, I want to say thank you. Thank you for joining. And I am going to close us out. If there's nothing else that you want to share with your audience, but this will definitely be up tonight. So be looking out for this video with
Yeah, I
my
just want to say thank you, Kimberly. I really feel honored that you would have me here and I've enjoyed it. And thank you so much.
thank you. Thank you. Give me 1 second.